I'm Megan. This is my husband Billy. We met on eHarmony. These are our children, Michael and Lydia. And these are my siblings, Jacob and Zoe. We aren't your typical family, but together we have lots of fun. So I wanted to make this series, and I've got 2 videos so far for you guys. And so let's just start with, I wanted to make this series, and I started thinking about last night. And of course, the guy would start spraying the freaking parking lot right beside me. Hey, at least McDonald's cleans our parking lot. Anyway, okay, so in this series, I wanted to talk about the lessons that God has taught me, or moments that I really felt God talking in one way or another. And so the first video I wanted to talk about is something, I can't quite remember how old I was. I feel like I was 10. And I was just having a really rough time. And I've talked about in my other videos that looking back, I was already suffering from depression and anxiety as a child. And it was something that wasn't diagnosed until I was in my 20s. Now I was in my fresh 20s, but still the same, I was in my 20s. And so with that said, I probably should have been in counseling a long time before. I feel like as a child, I was depressed. I contemplated suicide, although I wasn't very active with it because I really didn't know how to do it. The theory sounded great, but in all reality. And so I did. I went through a lot of moments of depression and I was really depressed as a child. At 14, I definitely should have been in counseling. Like, no joke about it, I should have been in counseling. But anyway, not the point of this video. So I was about 10 years old, and I was just experiencing a lot of chaos. I didn't have a lot of good coping skills at 10, which, what 10-year-old really has good coping skills? But I didn't have really good coping skills, and there was a lot going on around me that I hadn't fully identified as, oh, this is what it is. And so because of that, I think I was actually probably 12 before it hit me that this is what this is. This is what this is what we call this. And so as a child, I remember just being so depressed. I hate when people yell at me, like hands down, absolutely hate when people yell at me. I can be a yeller, but I'm not anything like my parents. Like, let's just be honest, my parents are yellers. And so when people tell me, like, you're yelling, you're screaming, I'm like, if you really want me to yell and scream, I will tell you. This is just raising my voice. But I say, they think it's bad. And I'm like, bro, you should, if you would have even known me 5-10 years ago, like, I would say probably closer to 10 years ago, like, I could hardcore yell. And I was like, me now compared to me then, like, you think this is bad? You didn't know me 10 years ago. So anyway, there had been a lot of yelling, and I can't even remember what the yelling was about and what was said. I just remember feeling in a really dark place, and I remember being extremely sad, and I remember needing to cry. I've been one for years that crying is a good thing. Because I always say it gets those toxins out of your body, and you need those toxins out. And now crying all the time, 24/7, yes, we need to help someone who obsessively cries, but a good cry is not bad. Sometimes things are great, and that's why I cry, like just crying because of happiness. So with that said, I just really needed to cry, and I needed a place to go to cry. And so I remember going into the bathroom, and in our old home, it was the 4 kids' bedrooms were upstairs, and we had a bathroom. And I went in there, and I closed myself up in there, because here's the thing. When you're in the bathroom, like, nobody wants to bother you, because they don't really want to know what you're doing in there. And so I went into the bathroom, and I sat down on the floor, and I started to cry. And I prayed, like, God, I need to feel you. I really need to feel that you're here with me. And I felt so alone. And I knew I wasn't alone, but I felt so alone in that moment. I felt like nobody was there, that nobody was hearing me, that I was alone in my pain, that I hated the yelling, I hated the screaming, I hated the name calling, I hated everything. And I cried, and I said, I need to feel you. I feel so alone. And I just remember this overwhelming feeling that somebody was giving me a hug. And in that moment, I knew that God was there, and that He loved me, and He was taking care of me, and He was everything I needed. And I remember that was probably the first time I ever called God Dad, just knowing He was there. And that was really the start of reminding myself I'm not alone. God is there. He loves me. He is my dad. He is everything that I need. When all the chaos in my life is overwhelming, I need to always remember to reach out to Him and say, I need to feel you. And I cried, and then I prayed some more, and I got up and I kept going. That was the first real experience that I would say that I can hands down really remember feeling God there, like calling on Him, and Him knowing like my child is in pain and I'm here. And I'm very, very thankful for that moment. It was a moment that will forever changed my life, and I pray that I always remember. So anyway, guys, that is my story. And so if you have any stories your own that you'd like to share, please comment them down below. If you don't feel comfortable commenting there, you can private message me on Facebook, Instagram, or my email is down below. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I would love to hear your stories, and y'all have a great day. Bye.